Hey everyone, it's me, Buster Green, and surprisingly enough, I actually have even more information about another Darkwing Duck reboot. Okay, so yeah, I've got brand new leaks about a third, hopefully not happening Darkwing Duck reboot, thanks to a new round of Disney leaks caused by the recent 1TB Disney server hack. Now, I'm going to briefly go over the history of this reboot in case this is the first video you're watching where I talk about it, but I'll let you guys know if this is the first video that I've already done 2 previous comprehensive videos about the first and second reboot pitches. And usually because of the danger factor of this leaked material, I will not be showing anything from these pitches. I will just be describing them, but I will also say that a lot of this material is up right now for viewing on 4chan. If you know where 4chan is, you can probably see it there, and it probably won't be there if this video is more than a few days old, just so you know. Okay, so brief recap on the previous Darkwing Duck reboots if you don't want to check out my other videos. So, DuckTales 2017 ended in 2021, and immediately after that ended, the DuckTales 2017 team pitched their own version of a Darkwing Duck reboot. Now, I'm nicknaming this one Darkwing Duck Year 2 because it basically was the second year of Darkwing Duck that they presented in that show. I'm going to say that immediately after reviewing all 3 of these pitches proposed here, for Disney, I think Darkwing Duck Year 2 probably would have been the best version. It's probably still my favorite idea because it would have continued everything that was great about DuckTales 2017 and would have had more of that awesome Disney afternoon synergistic universe. The only thing that was blatantly wrong about Darkwing Duck Year 2, as far as most people were concerned, was that Goslin was the main character in a show called Darkwing Duck. But yeah, so far this pitch is the best of the best. And of the 3 pitches that are on the table right now, I would definitely say that this is the one that probably should have gotten made just because all the others are just way worse than this one. Like, each pitch has gotten worse and worse as we've gone along and has gone farther and farther from the original concept of, hey, let's just make more episodes of Darkwing Duck. Added into the fact that the DuckTales staff already had most of my trust and respect, I think they probably could have put together something great. But unfortunately, that's not happening. Like, reviewing all these ideas, this one is the closest to the proper idea of what Darkwing Duck is supposed to be, and probably would have delivered us the most closest to actual Darkwing Duck. Unfortunately, this one got shut down because Seth Rogan came along. Seth Rogan came along, and he slapped down a big briefcase full of money. And so Seth Rogan got to do his own version of Darkwing Duck. The Seth Rogan pitch, as far as I know, was to do a show that was completely disconnected from episode to ever. Basically a random anthology show, which was pretty much the same kind of show he made for The Boys during the COVID pandemic. It was going to be in the style of the original series Darkwing Duck episode, Secret Origins of Darkwing Duck, a random, non-connected episode of Darkwing Duck that just went out of its way to shit on Superman and Aladdin and a bunch of other random characters. Now, I fucking hated this idea. This idea was surface level dumb, a dumb idea from Seth Rogen, who saw this one episode and thought that all Darkwing Duck was a comedy show where you shit on other superhero media, and that's not what it is. That's what that episode is, but that's not what the whole show is. Like, to make a whole show based on that one episode is literally ignoring like the other 100 episodes. Now, I made a video describing this version, and since I've made that video, it's been about 2 months, a little bit more info about that version has leaked out. So here's a brand spanking new update about the Seth Rogen version. Now, the only update I have about this version was previously, I thought this version was just a pitch with no art, but now a little trickle of art leaked out for this version. And the only art that leaked out was of Goslin. Now, I will say that this art looks bad. I will say that Goslin looks bad. I would say the art in this artwork is more reminiscent of the style of like the show Arthur rather than Darkwing Duck, because everyone has like that mostly humanoid kind of body with like vague animal characteristics. All the characters are kind of ugly and fat like on Arthur, but at least this is recognizable as original 1990s cartoon Goslin. It's not the Latina version from DuckTales. It's not a weird separate version. It's at least Goslin and not some otherwise strange reboot. But it's in the Arthur art style and it's really ugly looking. It just makes her look like some fat unwed child rather than a duck, rather than a funny cartoon character. And I think that's a massive failure for a show called Darkwing Duck. Okay, so that brings me to the reason I'm making this video. what's happened after that. So apparently what's happened after that, as far as I can piece it together, was apparently maybe Seth Rogan gave up. Maybe he had bigger fish to fry. And it seems like the latest update is from a Reddit AMA. Tad Stone said that there had been a writer's room for the Seth Rogen version, but they had been disbanded and the project had started all over again. So yeah, that's where we're at. The project restarted. Now, apparently from the new Terabyte leak, we got info about what actually happened after that. So apparently after Seth Rogen gave up, he handed the job over to a producer-writer named Sean Tretta. Sean Tretta, by all accounts, is a half-decent, low-budget horror producer with strong ties to the Sci-Fi Channel. He is most famous for producing the third and best season of Star Trek Picard, and before that he had done the Mayans Motorcycle Club show and the TV remake of 12 Monkeys. But before that, before he got his big break, he had mostly been doing a lot of grindhouse horror movies and a lot of low-budget crap for the Sci-Fi Channel. Now, since this is a horror guy, this pitch is pretty horrific, and I don't think writing a kid's cartoon is really in this guy's wheelhouse. He is currently working on a new reboot of Zorro, though, so I think it's safe to say that this version is dead in the water, but I'm going to let you guys know up front that I don't like this one. Alright, so Darkwing Duck Reboot version 3. Now, there are some actual dates on this one. Sean Tretta apparently left some dates on his work and says that this new reboot, he started working on it in June of 2023, and according to the current leaks, he gave up on it around November of 2023. So yeah, this is essentially the 2023 version. It seems to be abandoned, and it seems like they went back to the drawing board, so hopefully there's another new version of Darkwing Duck coming out that is closer to the original show that we all liked. So here's my hot take on this reboot. There's a short one-season pitch script, which I'm going to read to you guys. And on 4chan, they're calling this version the Ducky script because it's not actually about Drake Mallard. It's not actually about Darkwing Duck or Launchpad or Goslin. See, in this one, Darkwing Duck has become a feeble and useless and crazy old man. Goslin has grown up to be a badass cop who hates Darkwing and wants to shut him down. And so Darkwing's life restarts again when he adopts a brand new teenage orphan, a orphan named Ducky, who is a trans asexual teenage new daughter replacement for Goslin. Now, I want to say first things first that this pitch is incredibly unoriginal because this pitch is basically Batman Beyond. This is an incredible ripoff of Batman Beyond, and it's not like a fun Batman Beyond ripoff. It's not like, Batman Beyond. It's basically Batman Beyond if Terry McGinnis was a bored and lazy trans girl who didn't want to do anything. Now, because of the insanely high levels that this pitch rips off Batman Beyond, I am personally going to nickname this pitch the Darkwing Beyond script. You can also call it Old Man Darkwing Duck if you'd rather. And on 4chan, they're just calling it Ducky, but this is a real suckfest. One more thing, so there's about 5 concept images for this one that I can't show you, but the general idea of these images is that it looks like the classic 1990s Darkwing Duck, but it's rendered now in CGI in a way I've never seen done properly before. I guess depending on how good the CGI is, it could be amazing, but it could also be like some weak cheap shit like the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, but the concepts pretty much promise a full cinematic Darkwing Duck experience. And now with that being said, I'm going to read you the Ducky script, the Darkwing Duck Beyond script. All right, hold on, let me get my papers together. So yeah, Darkwing Duck by Sean Tretta. This is a fun show. It meshes together big ideas and genres. Superhero, sci-fi, action, adventure. It's for kids, but it has real stakes, and it's subversive at times. It's got imagination, humor, and irreverence just like the original series. The original Darkwing Duck was a product of its time. It was a combination of Tim Burton's Batman with slapstick cartoons and new Twin Peaks, and stamped it all with the genre moshing that would soon become common in the X-Files, and that was the 1990s Darkwing Duck. Now, this new Darkwing Duck is a reflection of our time and beyond. Imagine the world of Darkwing Duck now animated with the cinematic flair of the Avengers, epic one-liners, cool production design, character-driven humor. We'll take 4-quadrant energy of Into the Spider-Verse and apply that into this Duckverse. Now, picture all that spectacle with something else, a show with a heart, one where adults will spend moments at the end of the season trying not to cry in front of their kids. And here we go, Ducky. Ducky is a 12-year-old duck. Ducky has female characteristics, but she's not a she's non-binary. She's shy, she's sweet, she doesn't fit in with the other neighborhood kids, and they're all trying to conform to social norms, but Ducky is not because she's her own person. She's got a big imagination and she loves exploration and adventure. One day she says goodbye to her mom and dad and ventures out of her house into suburban St. Canard with a new app on her phone that promises to identify nearby mysterious creatures in a big swamp. So next we find Ducky in a rowboat, and as she's rowing through the water, a loud rumble happens and she realizes that something strange and bizarre has happened. The people living in her house are not her mom and dad. They are strangers. It's still her house, but it's not her parents and not her life. The people in the house immediately call the police on her, and she tries calling her real parents' cell phones, but not a single number in Ducky's phone works now. It's like the numbers don't even exist. So then she ends up in a police station, and the police station is just like the one in Zootopia. It's mostly a duck society, but there are gerbils, there are crows, there are pigeons. Sanitation is a hotly debated issue, and it's mostly a reflection of our world. Ducky's situation is totally bizarre because suddenly her parents do not exist. She's in a nightmare. The cops ask her if she has any relatives, and Ducky tells them every name she can possibly remember, and one pings onto their system. Anyway, the cops share a look and oh shit, what's this? At an old building across the street, it looks like it's haunted Bourbon Street. It's overgrown with vines, and across from it is a cemetery. It's not welcoming. An adult duck answers the door. He's Drake Mallard. He's a bit ornery and he's strange and he doesn't trust the cops. He's a paranoid recluse, and they ask him if he knows about Ducky's parents. Drake recollects some distant cousins by name, but he hasn't seen them in decades. That's good enough for the cops, and they give Drake custody of Ducky. Drake is hesitant. Are you sure no one else can take her? Taking in stray ducks isn't Drake's thing. Not anymore. The cops tell him that if he doesn't take her, she's going to be sent to an orphanage. And the orphanage is a dark place, because most ducks that go there end up on the streets and sell their feathers to the evil pillow god on the TV. Wait, did they just imply that in this universe, orphans are sold as teen prostitutes to the My Pillow guy? What? That's actually in the script. What? Anyway, okay, so Drake reluctantly agrees to take Ducky in, and as the cops leave, one cop tells the other, "Did you read the rap sheet on that quack job? I'm telling you, the orphanage might have been better off." So Drake lives in this dark, messy, creepy apartment. He lives as a hermit, and he's a paranoid obsessive. His walls are lined with these evidence boards, red wires, and article photos, mostly hand-drawn, of creatures and robots and other strange things. It looks like a child drew them, but Drake drew them. Ducky has never seen anything like this, but viewers of the original series will recognize some of these drawings as events from the original series, like the Fearsome Five, the Justice Duck, the Vampire Potatoes, and also there's these mysterious Men in Black type figures that Drake refers to as the Quacker Jackers. All right, sidebar here. So I really thought the Quacker Jackers were going to be like a gang that is in the style of Quacker Jack, because like Batman Beyond had that like Joker's gang in the style of the Joker, and this script is highly ripping off Batman Beyond. But when they later get to it, it's not that, and I was honestly disappointed it wasn't that. It feels like it was supposed to be that, and then they changed it just so they won't get sued. Anyway, yeah, so Ducky bonds with Darkwing Duck because they like conspiracy websites and blah, 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 blah. Apparently Drake wants to ditch Ducky, but then Ducky enters a small bedroom down the hall, and it's a kid's room, and it doesn't look like anyone's touched it in decades. There's a few old toys and dust and a crayon drawing of Drake and a small female duck. And over Drake's head, it says Dad, and over the small duck's head, it says Goslin. So at this point, it now starts to introduce a character. So Ducky is a character who's been teleported into an alternate universe, and she's trying to find herself and trying to find her world. And Drake is the Darkwing Duck from the original series, but something bad has happened to him, and he's completely lost his life. Like something happened decades ago that turned his world upside down, and now all is going to happen. What happened to Darkwing Duck? That's the mystery of season 1. So yeah, they get more into, at this point, the like world and the season 1 synopsis, and it's pretty bad. Like Darkwing was going to marry Morgana, but she ghosted him. Launchpad apparently like built a rocket ship and fucking died in a space shuttle explosion. Holy shit. Darkwing was in the space shuttle explosion. Launchpad died. Launchpad was never seen again. And then apparently after this event, all Darkwing's enemies like disappeared just randomly. And apparently Goslin lost faith in Darkwing, that he'd lost his mind. And long story short, Darkwing's basically turned into like Rorschach from like the Watchmen, but like he's old, he's got a beard. And anyway, apparently when Goslin left Darkwing, like Darkwing just full on like his heart broke and he got bitter and he just became a fucking crackpot. Like the pitch here describes that Darkwing at this point is just like an old man who believes everything QAnon says. Now, the big ongoing mystery of the story, the story isn't even fucking Darkwing Duck. It's like Into the Spider-Verse mixed with Batman Beyond, and it's got like some trans-dimensional shit. Like, so the ongoing mystery is that stuff is coming and going and disappearing in St. Canard, and they introduce a new character named Glade McTowers, who's supposed to be a parody of Elon Musk and a villain, and it just sounds like it's fucking Mark Beeks all over again. They also have this new badly described character named Bob. Okay, so then here's another part that's really weird. So they finally catch up to the Quackerjackers, who once again, I really thought this was just going to be a band, like a gang of teenagers based on Quackerjack, but apparently what the Quackerjackers are, they're shadowy figures like Agent Smith from The Matrix, and they're led by Minnie Mouse and Goofy. And hold on, I feel like this is described better at another page. They're trying to get away from the fucking Mickey Mouse gang, and the Mickey Mouse gang sends like robots after them. It's described as the Dark Troopers from The Mandalorian. And then apparently at some point another Ducky shows up, and this is apparently Nega Ducky. So the other Ducky apparently like reveals that the Darkwing Duck Ducky is working with is not the real Darkwing Duck. And then it explains like the series arc that like basically what's going on is like the multiverse is collapsing. This is a multiverse story. And like apparently there's a lot to take in. Anyway, then they get into Goslin. This fucking script is out of order, so it's hard to like tell what's what. Goslin is a sad, disgruntled cop. And she's apparently trying to get Ducky away from Darkwing because Darkwing ruined her life and she doesn't want him to ruin the life of another kid. But then once apparently Drake and adult jaded cop Goslin meet up, they are attacked by the Quackerjackers again. And then apparently they finally go to another dimension. So yeah, they go to an alternate reality where everything is right, where it's more like a proper sequel to Darkwing Duck, where everything turned out good instead of everything turning out bad like this series. And so yeah, so then they're confronted by another Darkwing Duck and the Quackerjackers. Okay, so then this is here where it finally like describes the Quackerjackers. The Quackerjackers are interdimensional cops policing people who have slipped into wrong dimensions, and they are led by alternate dimensional versions of Minnie Mouse, Donald Duck, Pluto, and Goofy. Only these characters are not fun and lovable. These are characters who have seen some shit. Like, they warn people making problems in the multiverse that there are increasing fissures between dimensions, and that if Darkwing Duck encounters another version of himself, that will cause a space-time paradox, and it could destroy the entire universe. But they don't know that Darkwing has already been through this shit before. And yeah, at this point, Darkwing Duck is saved by another Darkwing Duck. So yeah, they're saved by the other Darkwing Duck, and to their surprise, this other Darkwing Duck is not Darkwing Duck. He's actually Nega Duck. He's the Nega Duck from the original show. And apparently what has actually happened is that I guess what's going on right now is they're back in the original Darkwing Duck dimension. And essentially what happened is Ducky, Negaduck, no, not Negaduck, Ducky, Darkwing Duck, and maybe the original Goslin got sucked into this Negaverse dimension where everything fucking sucked. And like Goslin was young enough that she just like didn't notice it and just accepted that Darkwing had gone crazy. And meanwhile, Negaduck apparently took over Darkwing Duck's life in the non-Negaverse. And I guess in the non-Negaverse, then Morgana married Negaduck because she thought Negaduck was the original Darkwing Duck. And yeah, so now Negaduck is good because he got Darkwing Duck's good life. But meanwhile, Darkwing Duck is fucking Jake Skywalker again. And yeah, so there's a lot of like unfinished situations in this because it's an unfinished pitch. But apparently after this, the pitch is that now Darkwing Duck and Ducky and maybe Adult Goslin have to travel the multiverse like it's the show Sliders. It says that they're dealing with like Back to the Future, Rick and Morty levels of interdimensional time travel chaos, and every plot has to fit together. And yeah, so next page. Meanwhile, Glade McTowers is apparently trying to collect alternate universe objects to create the best version of St. Canard. He's stealing breakthrough technology from other dimensions and disturbing the natural order of the universe. So now they gotta defeat this McTower guy, who just sounds like he's basically an evil Elon Musk Scrooge McDuck. Eventually, Darkwing Duck and Ducky become like a new dynamic duo. Darkwing gets his life back together. Ducky becomes a hero. Blah, blah, blah. Eventually, Adult Goslin and Drake are able to fix their relationship. And I guess eventually Launchpad comes back from space. He didn't actually die in space. He came back to the Earth. And so then I guess it ends with very old Launchpad, very old Darkwing, Ducky, not Goslin because Goslin's too old to be a hero now. And they go off to have adventures in season 2. And yeah, so man, screw this version. Okay, so I've got a lot of thoughts about this. Like, people were really hard on the Darkwing Duck Year 2 script for being too much Goslin. And I gotta say, I hate this version because it's too little Goslin. I mean, it's like jaded adult, like badass cop Goslin. Like, I'm sure like some people would be into that, but that's not like the Goslin I want to see. And yeah, this fucking sucks because apparently this is essentially just Darkwing Duck, but they made Darkwing Duck an old loser and they replaced Goslin with like a new trendier Goslin. So that's stupid. All right, I think that's about all I have to say about this one. I've said enough, but thankfully, by all accounts, this version is dead and they moved on to a fourth new mysterious version of the Darkwing Duck reboot that will probably still never come out. So I guess we dodged a bullet on this one. I still kind of think that Darkwing Duck Year 2 was the best of these, and I'm really thankful that the Seth Rogan anthology series is also not moving forward. All right, let me know what you think of all these versions. Which one did you like the best? Leave a comment. Let me know. I'm curious. Thanks.